In a world where love hangs by a thread, where relationships are tested and hearts are broken, have you ever wondered if you ran away a good man? Today, let's delve deeper into the complexities of love, the struggles of communication, and the balance of holding on and letting go. So that begs the question, have you ever ran away a good man? Well, I have 7 ways to determine if you've done just that. The first one is by being disrespectful. By being disrespectful, you are disregarding his opinions as well as his thoughts and feelings. I have a friend of mine who's actually a guy, and he did not make it with his ex-girlfriend because of this very thing. He felt that anytime they had a conversation and they agreed to be one way with their daughter, that whenever she would agree based off of their conversation, whenever he would walk out of the room, or she would have a conversation with her girlfriends or even her mom, and he would hear, although she didn't think that he heard her, what he found is that she was still being disrespectful based off of what they discussed and decided and agreed upon. And so whenever they would have the conversation, he would hear her in his face say one thing, but when she thought that he wasn't listening or no longer around, she would advise his daughter to do something completely different, or she would be bashing and bad mouthing him behind his back to her friends and her mom specifically. So who wants to be in a relationship with somebody who does not honor what they say? If your partner feels like you are disrespecting him, then how long do you think that the two of you will remain connected? Respect is very high on the list in any man's life and in his heart. And if he feels like he's being disrespected by you, then how long do you think that that connection will last? How long do you think that he will be rooting for the two of you? How long do you think that he will want to lay with you? How long do you think that he will be out in the world saying that he has gotten the best thing since sliced bread? You in this case. I can tell you for sure this won't happen. And just like my friend that I just brought up, who is no longer with his girlfriend because of this very issue, you will be in the same situation. The best way to figure out if you're being disrespectful is to have an open conversation with your partner about what it means to be respected in his eyes. However, your man may have specifics on what he deems is being respected versus what he feels is being disrespectful toward him. So the best way to get this answer is to have an open conversation with your spouse about, hey, you know what? I intellectually know what it means to be respectful and to be disrespectful. I understand that. However, can you tell me what your idea of it is? Because maybe I feel like sometimes you and we have a conversation, but then we're off. And maybe you think that I'm doing something on purpose, but it's just because I don't really know that this is disrespect in your eyes. So can we talk about some of the things like I did X, Y, and Z the other day, and I noticed that your face changed or your attitude changed, and I really didn't know where that was coming from. So can we have a deeper conversation on what respect means to you, right? And that way you're opening up the floor, opening up the door for said conversation, but also for you to show your vulnerability like, hey, I'm not perfect. I don't know everything. So can you help me to understand so I can understand you better? So we can stay connected, so we can stay on one accord. The second thing that may have run away a good man is you withholding affection. Not showing physical or emotional affection creates distance and it erodes the intimacy within your relationship. So you want to lean in. If your partner is a touchy-feely person, you absolutely want to give what he needs in order to feel loved. If he's not a touchy-feely person, then maybe this one doesn't apply to every relationship because everybody is not an affectionate people. However, if this is your love language, you want to make sure that you are expressing this to him so he can give you what you need as well. Affection, withholding affection can be a thing that has happened in your relationship that has run him off. Because again, if he's a touchy-feely person and you're not, but you're not giving him what he needs, then that creates the distance and erodes the intimacy. The third thing to consider is your different attachment styles. We have anxious, we have avoidant, and secure. And all of these can impact how each of you relate to one another. So if your attachment styles are different, then you will look at things different, right? If you're anxious, then you will be nervous all the time and you'll be thinking about Did I do this right? Did I say this right? Did I give enough? Did I not give enough? You'll be going down that road thinking that, what did I do wrong this time? Why isn't he talking to me? How come we are not, holding hands? How come you're just going down this rabbit hole of making yourself feel bad, as well as creating some shiftiness within your relationship, because you may be feeling anxious, but instead of you having a conversation about it, you're not wanting to say anything because you fear what he's going to say based off of what it is that you're feeling, because you don't know how he's going to react or respond. And so you hold the stuff in, but not, you don't realize that your spouse knows something is off, even if he can't pinpoint it. So your attachment styles may be different. And so because you're anxious and maybe he's secure, he's like, I don't really know what's actually happening with her. Why are we always arguing over this silly stuff? Or why do I feel like I always have to make her feel secure, or tell her everything's okay, or keep telling her that I love her? Like, it becomes exhausting. Again, when you have a secure person and somebody that is avoidant or anxious avoidant, any of that with a secure person is going to make the secure person pull away, because, and especially if you have not explained, right, showing your vulnerability, like, hey, I'm working through this. This is one of my flaws. I'm working through this. When people don't understand you, they just avoid you or run away. It's just a natural thing. The fourth thing to consider is your family dynamics. Now, your family dynamics could be your children. It could be your siblings, could be your parents. It also could be your friends as well, because a lot of times we make our friends our family. So if there is excessive drama on your end that you're always bringing into the man's life, especially, again, as I mentioned, if he's a secure person, secure people don't really want to deal with all that drama. So if you have excessive drama coming your way from every angle, if you have baby daddy issues, right? If you have attachment issues with one of your parents, but there's always drama there, always drama with your friends, and not just with your friends, you're a part of the drama. It's not like it's always just coming to you, you're a part of it. You always have a dramatic story or an event, an experience that happened to you. Secure people don't want to deal with that. So you may have ran away this secure man in this example that I talked about because of your family dynamics, and it's just too much drama coming his way time and time again. The fifth thing to consider is, how clingy are you? So being clingy, this is one of the things that ran some men away from me personally. I did not realize that men didn't want you to be clingy, because the way that I grew up is I was always around people. I was always around my family. I was always around my friends. We are a touchy-feely people, right? And so whenever they would go somewhere, I would always automatically go or be invited. And so that was kind of the thing that I was accustomed to. And when I got into my relationship and even into my marriage, I didn't realize that this wasn't something that every family did, where you would have your partner or spouse with you all the time, doing everything together. And so when space was asked of me, I didn't know how to handle that. So when you are constantly needing the other person's presence and their attention, this can be suffocating for your partner. I ran a few men away by being clingy, and now I know better. When you know better, you do better, right? That was one of the things that I started to work on, to make sure that I was secure in who I am and who I was dating. And so if he wanted to go off and be with his friends and not invite me, I had to be okay with that. But that took practice and me building up and not feeling like I needed to call or text or where you at, and doing all of the things that make me seem desperate but also clingy, clung on to him. And so I had to, whenever he wanted to go away and do whatever he wanted to do, like he would tell me, right? And then he would go away, be with his friends, or maybe travel by himself or do X, Y, and Z. I had to know that I had to trust him, but I also had to let him do his thing. And then one of the other things that I would do is I wanted to see how important I was to him. Was he going to be thinking about me when he was gone? So one of the other things, in addition to allowing the clinginess to be cut off, I wanted to see how important I was to him. So I would allow him to contact me while he was out doing his thing, when we were not in each other's presence. The sixth thing to consider is how much you criticize him. Is there excessive criticism there? where you are constantly pointing out his flaws without really giving constructive criticism or constructive feedback. And this behavior can wear his self esteem down. And who wants to be in a relationship where they always feel like their self esteem is getting lower and lower and lower and lower? Nobody, not even you. Not even you. So if you have the tendency to look for the bad, look for the negative, to nag all the time, then I can tell you he's absolutely going to go away. And maybe he did go away because of your nagging or your excessive criticism or your complaining all the time. Just excessive. Every little thing that you feel that he didn't do right or didn't do in your timely manner, you have to complain about it. Nobody wants to be in a relationship with their mother. They just don't. So if you have found yourself constantly criticizing, being very critical, you will know how critical you are by how much you criticize yourself, especially when nobody else is around. How often are you allowing that critical inner voice to come in and take over your mind, your life about yourself? And so if you're doing that to yourself, it's very easy to do it to other people. So how many excessive complaints or criticisms do you often give out? Evaluate this area, because maybe you ran him away just because you were just overly criticizing him about every little detail. And nobody wants that. When he comes to his castle, he wants to feel like the king in his castle, just like you want to feel like the queen in your castle. You're bringing about a lot of distance versus the connectedness, versus him wanting to run home and be by your side, or always calling, texting, and checking up on you, and I love yous, and the love notes, and all of that stuff. That stuff goes away when the person that you're deciding to build a life with is constantly criticizing you. The seventh and final area that I want you to consider is if you ran away a good man is, did you take him for granted? And I break all of this down in this video right here. So check out if you've been taking your man for granted and what to do about it. I'll see you over there.